Welcome to Build Series Sydney. I'm Kate Peck, and today on the couch, after a 4-year hiatus, Boy and Bear are back. Round of applause. Our two favourite members, Dave Hosking and Dave Symes. Dave Squared.
Dave Squared, D1, D2.
Yeah, I like it. Is there more? Because I've got Dave and Dave, obviously. A Dave-O and a Dave-E. Who should I be calling Dave-O
We've never
and
done
Dave-E?
that, have we?
No.
We usually do, I call you Hosco and you call me...
Simesy.
Yeah, which is
yeah?
just Aussie for, just take our last name and do something short to it.
Australia. That's how we
Australia.
keep it real. Now, very exciting to have you back. Does it feel amazing?
It feels really good.
Yeah,
It's been a long time coming, so to be back up and working and touring and making music and it feels really good.
Suck on Light is the album.
Yeah.
Have you been sucking on a lot of light in the last 4 years, Dave?
You could say, yeah, I don't know how to, I could take that
Really set that
multiple
up,
ways.
yeah, that's great.
I'm just trying to navigate that. Yeah.
I guess it's like the light at the end of the tunnel, really, is this album.
I think so. I think the idea of Suck on Light was like, it's supposed to be this analogy for hope, like a kind of desperation and hope. And it seemed to fit. And that's what the record's about. Yeah.
And so, I mean, you've kind of gone with the 70s theme, bringing it into the 21st century, which is exactly what the album sounds like. Did you have to go through a few ideas till you came to that tone? Is that what you wanted from the beginning?
Yeah, as a band, we were talking a lot about this kind of overall sound we wanted to achieve, didn't we? So we spent 2 years writing this record. We'd listened to a lot of other records while we were doing that. As a band, as a 5-piece band, we play very much in that kind of 70s kind of Americana band sound, that sort of thing. But we really wanted to push some of the production stuff, get more layers and stuff.
And did you have so much energy to put into this album? Because I know a lot of artists, if they haven't been writing, they haven't been in the recording studio for a while, they've just got like, just let me in there, I need to explode.
It was interesting because we were kind of writing, I guess, for the best part of 2 years.
Yeah, 2
so we
years.
had been, and we'd always set it up, particularly in the last kind of 12, 18 months, we set it up like a little mini studio, really. So we had been in that space for a long period of time and kind of piecing the whole thing together. I think once the record got kind of locked in, there was definitely a sense of everyone was like, okay, great, we have an opportunity again, because it was all up in the air for a little while. And I think everyone was, really focused and excited. But definitely by the time we finished the recording, everyone sort of collapsed. But I guess that's what happens every record a little bit,
You recorded it in Nashville.
Yeah.
What is it about Nashville?
Man, Nashville's,
it has
it's
a magic,
insane. Yeah. It's like, it's such a sort of music hub in America now, Nashville. It's always been a musical city, but more recently, I think it's opened up the amounts of sort of, different styles of music that gets created there. So everything gets created there. There's so many studios. There's a lot of history. It was an amazing place because it's really like a big country town too. It's not really like a big city, So it's got a country town feel with all this stuff going on.
What about star encounters? I feel like there's always stories about star encounters.
Actually, John, our piano player, went to the like there's some kind of museum, rock museum or something, and he was there on his own, and Mick Fleetwood was getting a private tour, and he ended up just sort of looking at a couple of things with Mick, which was pretty cool. But we weren't there for that, so. Yeah, we lived to tell the tale, but that's it.
Fail, damn it!
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can't win them all. Now, Hold Your Nerve is the first single out, and I love it. What's been the reaction from your fans to this piece of music?
It's been really positive, actually. Yeah, because you never know after being out of the game for a little while if you still got your chops. But no, it's been really good. It's actually been just a warm welcome back into the whole game, I think. Everyone's been really accepting and just very... it feels like it's been an easy kind of step back in on that front, which has been great.
Was it quite nerve-wracking releasing the first track back? Like
Totally.
Anxiety, pressure?
I think that first when you're creating this sort of we create a whole record, and I think as soon as you even tell anybody what it's called, and then you show people the first sounds, it is. I mean, for me, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is. I guess it's like you're kind of birthing this. This baby into the world, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I think too that I've become a bit more fatalistic too about it. It's like you work and you get to that point and you're like, I can't do anything now. And, you hope it kind of does what you want it to do. But in the back of your mind, I feel like I'm like mentally prepared for the worst at any point. I don't know if that's a good thing, by the way, to be in that mindset. But do you know what I mean?
Oh, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah, you just see what happens.
And some of the lyrics, I mean, are quite dark. Like there is struggle in there. Obviously, with your sickness, Dave, you've got a lot to draw on. Is it hard to be putting something so raw out there?
No, I don't think. I think it's just about how it's put out there. I think that I love making music and I love writing songs, and I think that this record inevitably was going to be about kind of the situation I was in for a number of years. I think something that we were conscious of was that idea that we didn't want the record to kind of just feel like a repeat, like another chorus that I'm sick and sad. Like that's not a great listen as a general rule of thumb. So it was about finding a different tact on it, I guess, and different angles. And there are dark songs on there, but I also think there are songs that feel like a celebration of life, and they feel like kind of popping out the other end a bit, and it was really important to have that balance.
Because the tone of it's quite light and airy and uplifting, but as you said, some of the lyrics are more emotionally connected with your illness, which was the poo rodeo, and and it's been a real roller coaster for the 4 years, because obviously we have to talk about why you were gone for 4 years, and I'm sure you're probably over talking about it by now, but
that's all right.
It was some mega gut issues that you had.
Yeah, where do I start, really? I was trying to be as concise as I can, but I just had, my health was failing for a number of years, and it was starting to affect my nervous system, and we didn't know what was going on until eventually I was pretty incapacitated, and I'd lost a lot of functionality, and was exhausted all the time. And through some pretty amazing work, through some brilliant doctors, we found out that I had something known as dysbiosis, which is essentially just a generic term for like a gut bacteria imbalance, but it shows that something's really wrong. And so I found myself at an amazing gastroenterologist who had kind of seen cases like mine before, and he started treating me, and I started to improve.
Amazing. And
incredible.
Could you have actually died?
No. It's a very good question.
I hadn't thought about it till now.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, at its worst, you can't live in that space for long periods of time. Like, you just can't, like...
You weren't able to function, really.
It's not about, like, I can't surf and I can't do things. It's like the constant discomfort, and you can't really sleep, and then you're awake, and, it was definitely had its... you can't be in that space forever. And so, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
here
good.
now.
We didn't have to find that out exactly, right? We're powering through. And I mean, because it's not just you in this, it's your family and your community and your band, obviously. It's such a huge step to say to them, we can't do this for a while, I need this time. Like, what kind of effect did it have on the band? Are you a different band coming back into it?
Well, we just had to, as a band, I guess first and foremost, we were concerned for Dave as a mate. He's our comrade. So there was a lot of initial just sort of like, what the hell's going on and what can we do? And, everyone just trying to sort of rally around. And then professionally as a band, it was like, well, how do we sort of continue? What does this mean? And in the end, it meant that we bunkered down in Sydney for a little while. And so Dave could see some doctors, get some treatment. We set up a home studio where he was living up on the Northern Beaches, and we left that set up for 2 years, and we would do little 4 to 6 week riding trips. And then in between, allow Dave to be sort of working on his health. And so it just meant we had to slow down and rethink how we were going to do things and how we were going to structure touring again. And but once after those 2 years, when Dave kind of started to get a few more results from some of these treatments, we were able to go, we're ready to make a record. Who are we going to make it with? Where are we going to make it? And like Dave mentioned earlier, once we locked in February this year we went. Once we locked that date in, it was amazing how we all kind of we've been riding and chipping away, but it just sort of we started to put the foot down and move towards that deadline, and because we knew we could, and it's been very positive since then.
Now you had to take a poo roadie on trip with you.
Yeah.
So I guess for people who don't understand what a poo roadie is and why you need them, it's really to help you improve your gut balance.
Yeah, so it's from a treatment known as fecal microbiota transplant. And in short, the way my gastro explained it to me was that healthy colonies of bacteria create their own antibiotics and anti-inflammatories, whilst also being a kind of mega probiotic, which is a pretty unique situation. And after everything that I'd kind of tried on the antibiotic front and a bunch of things, once I started doing the FMTs, I actually started to feel human again. And what was interesting is when the protocol was supposed to be a kind of 6 month where you start to slow down, you're doing it less and less. But then every time I slowed down, I started to get sick again. And there's some strong theories as to why, and we're kind of working on that. But it just meant I had to keep the treatment up. And so, the only way to do Nashville was to bring Harry with me. Harry's my donor.
Because
my dude.
Because your dude, he freezes poo, and then you take it home and you put it in the kitchen and you whip it up and defrost
Well, I
it.
avoided the kitchen. There, you were correct until you said kitchen, pretty
We're
much.
all
But
living
it's
together,
amazing.
so.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
no,
you-
you did, exactly. That's right. Though Harry.
Oh, this
came
is in
over.
Nashville. We're talking in the way it was in
Well,
Nashville
yeah,
or
I
in
guess
general.
in Nashville because he came with you, didn't
Harry
he?
came over. Yeah. That's how it would work. You'd have to go and meet Harry and
Do a
pick up. Yeah, and it was,
Pick
it
up
was
the
like
poop?
it was like a deal,
Frozen pickup. Yeah,
did, at
dealer.
one-
You doo-doo dealers.
Yeah. At one point, we drove round to him, and he came out his jacket and his little bag, and he put it in. And he's like, and people were looking at us. And he's like, "You do, but this looks like a drug deal. This actually looks like a drug
But
deal."
it would be hard to explain.
I would
to
love
American
cops
cop
to pull
too,
us
yeah.
over. Imagine that.
Fleece
Yeah,
you.
I promise you. Yeah.
The coffee
Go for it,
squat,
mate.
was it?
Yeah.
That could go really wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when, why couldn't you take the other, you didn't give
I
your
know,
poo?
what about me?
Why wouldn't you want Dave's poo?
So what's interesting is to become a donor, it's really strict. It has really strict guidelines around travel, antibiotic use, and all your health what do you call it? It's a general term, I forget, but like your blood pressure, your blood glucose,
All your
everything's
stats.
tested. And if anything's out, you can't do it because of the influence our biome has on all the metabolic factors in our body. So, and all the guys had too many sort of minor ailments that they couldn't do it. And it's a really serious, my doctors are just like, they can't, if there's X, Y, Z, we can't do it. We won't give the green light. So.
Wow, that must have been so. Just so that you guys know, so you unfreeze the poo and then you have to put it up your behind, right?
Yeah.
Which is
That's fun, isn't it? It's
hectic.
It's hectic. I got so used to it.
Yeah, so did we really.
It's funny, because you got to remember, I got too used to it, I think. But it's literally you homogenize with saline and you put it into these little enema bottles, and then you
up the
go.
behind.
And it's full on, but at the same time too, it's like when you go from literally being trapped in your own house for 2 years, you can't do anything, and then suddenly you start to feel more comfortable and you start to claw back bits of your life. You just I put an ad, so I needed a donor, so I put an ad in the paper to find a stool donor, and which was I've had multiple donors over the years. I had a lovely family where Frank, and they were looking after me, and I offered to pay people, and they said no, we don't want your money. And anyway, the first day I went over, because I didn't put my full name and stuff on just in case, but the first day I went over, I opened the door, and he just said to me, "Love the band, mate."
Oh.
And I was like, is that breaking the ice, or I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, it was just just in terms of where science and technology is at, it was a strange circumstance of I become dependent on an unusual treatment, and if I do the treatment, I can function. What's interesting though is my protocol has changed slightly, and I had another doctor get in touch with me through my partner, actually, and he introduced me to a technology known as photobiomodulation, which is essentially using different light waves. And he started treating my gut, and it didn't do anything for about 3 weeks. And on the 4th week, I started to notice something. And then by the 5th week, I stopped the FMTs. And I haven't had to do the FMTs for like 2 months.
Fantastic.
And I've got a laser.
amazing.
So I'm touring with a laser, which means Harry doesn't get to tour with us. But
He must be sad, yeah?
well, I don't actually know. To be honest. I don't know how he feels about it.
I think he's doing a course in audio engineering so he can come out as a sound guy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's a really, really cool story. And you are going out the tour of this.
Yeah.
You guys don't go, you go hard or you go home. It's like, yeah, it's a pretty solid tour you've got coming up in the US and the UK.
Yeah.
How is touring going to be different? I mean, are you going to be crashing cars and being rock stars and throwing TVs and pianos out windows these days?
Well, it's going to be lasering, like a bit of laser tag, really. So Dave's also got this helmet, which is made, and you
The
can put that
plot
on.
thickens, doesn't it, all the time
So
with this?
a few of us are having a go on the helmet, and it's so pretty much we just sit around looking like Daft Punk on the tour bus now.
Yeah.
It's our new
It
thing.
works, though.
So, I mean, being on the road 4 years is quite, it's like you will all be reconnecting once again for that. Like, that's really a solid amount of time and time spent together. It'll be like getting the band back, right?
Yeah.
A full family again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, totally.
Yeah.
It's already felt like that, I guess.
did.
These first lot of Australian shows was it had that bit of that feeling, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you most looking forward to heading back to? Like, what stands out in your mind on tours previous that was like, whoa, that was a show that we'll tell our grandkids about?
Well, that's a question that actually comes up a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, we're never fully prepared for it.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think.
think there's surprises all the time in what we do, isn't there? Which I think is great. Sometimes we don't even really look where we're going, and you kind of just wake up on the bus and you go, oh great, check it out. And there's something about being free like that which you just tend to get, more sort of surprised about where you are, and you have surprising sort of wins, amazing gigs and stuff.
Does it feel different being back on the road again? Like, how are your fans as well?
It feels different yet awfully familiar. Like, it feels good. It just feels like we're kind of back doing what we love. I mean, we've only really dipped our toe in terms of the touring. We've done, 4 Australian shows, which have been great. I think this will be the tester. This is the back in the tour bus, 5 shows a week kind of thing. But I don't know, everyone's just feeling pretty energized about it, I think. And, I think there is a sense of perspective after, again, where things, reflecting on 2.5 years ago to like where we are now, everyone's just like, great, bring it on. Let's play some shows and engage with people and see what happens.
We just didn't know, did we? We just didn't know when this was going to come around again. And I think it is for us. We're now like, okay, great, it's happening. And we're sort of catching up and let's go. It's feeling good.
Yeah, it'll be heaps of fun. I mean, I would imagine that getting on the road would be one of the best times. Like, all you have to focus on is fun, tour, energy, fans, and yourselves.
It is. It's an amazingly simple way of living sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you are constantly in transit. You're always at an airport or in the bus or but there's something kind of great about you have a tour manager who just kind of organizes your life for you, for better or worse. And then you're just with your mates playing shows. It's great.
Sounds like the ideal situation. Okay, we're going to, we've got some audience questions here.
The audience.
Here we go. Okay, Georgia. Which one of you is the boy and which is the bear, and who came up with the name?
We haven't had that one before, have we?
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to let you answer it.
I'm guilty of the name. You know what? We put up some songs on a certain radio station, and what happened? That's right. It was under a solo name, but we knew we wanted to become a band, and we were like, we've got to work out this band name. And so I went and found a band named Generator on the internet, and I just...
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
I think it's
Shows
still a
how
thing,
lazy
actually.
I was.
I think it's still actually a thing now. I think they still exist.
Yeah.
Good. We should all go and do that afterwards, get our
Just
own band
go.
names.
Yeah. And so we came up with a list of 10 of them, I think. And then we tried a few, and you've got to pass the Google test because you think you've got this works. And you put it in, you realize that there's a random band in
Sweden.
of somewhere in Russia or something that has that name. Although probably anyway. But yeah, and Boy and Bear passed the test, and we were like, let's lock it in.
Sweet as.
So yeah.
So who is the bear? Who is the boy?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that question.
Okay, no worries. Moving right along. Have you had any crazy fan girls or boys on your tour? Tell us a story.
Had a few things. We actually
We
had
can
that-
tell that.
Yeah,
We
you go.
told this story about the signing. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, then there was you could tell that one.
Yeah. Well, this is more not so much a crazy fan. I had a slight faux pas where, in our early years of touring, I went to the merch desk to kind of meet some people, and John came up to me and he said, "Hey," he's like, "A couple of girls want you to sign their boobs," and I thought, like, it's a little bit like tacky, but I thought, okay, like I can, that's fine, you know. And
Got this.
Yeah, I can do this, you know, it's fine. And I turned next to me, and there was this lovely young woman who had quite a lot of cleavage, and standing there looking at me, and I thought, well, clearly you're the person. So next minute, she was looking at me to kind of say thanks for the show, and I'm like diving in with a Sharpie like this, and she's like no, and I'm kind of having that awkward moment of which she was very good about it, and then I kind of was like, and anyway, next to her there was clearly
More
someone
boobs.
who, there was, I'd worked out the right play.
We actually had a young
Never-
man whose boobs we signed recently too. But it was a bit different. You remember this a couple of months ago? He was a fan, loved the music, and we were doing some filming, but he was too embarrassed to do it like in person. So he sent that black and white print of his boobs that we signed on. Do you remember that? You've forgotten.
I've forgotten.
It's a bit of a theme running. So anyway,
Yeah.
there you go. He was a bit
Boobs all
embarrassed to
round.
come
Yeah.
in person.
Big
but
bear boobs.
lovely
That
thing.
was.
That's
Were they
it.
hairy as well? I don't want to know.
No, they weren't actually.
They were? Great. What do you and the band members do when you're not performing and recording?
I'm at the dog park a lot these days.
Oh, how good. What a
Yeah.
life.
I'm not
Yeah.
a dog guy though, so I don't go with him.
You go to the cat.
Yeah,
Kennel
no,
instead.
definitely
Cat
not.
park. That sounds like a
park.
horrible place.
Meow, 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 meow. Which Aussie acts do you like touring with?
Well, that's a good question, actually. We've had the opportunity recently to tour with a whole lot of great ones, haven't we? Like
Yeah.
we've had Holly out with us, Montaigne. We had Tia Costello, a lovely young artist she just supported us in the last four shows.
All our exes.
Well, our exes in
live in
Texas
Texas.
have supported us. So some great Aussie bands,
Yeah,
and they've all been really fun to tour with, actually.
Are we a good lot, Aussies?
Yeah,
to
I
tour
think
with?
so.
Yeah.
Better than the others from
I'm
America?
I'm going to say yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah.
We are winning. What is the songwriting and collaboration process for you and the guys in the band? How does it all come together?
How does it all come together? I think it's interesting these days the ideas can come from anywhere. Compared to in the early days, I was kind of writing most of the songs and forming them and then arranging them as a group. Now it's kind of like anyone can bring an idea and it can become the start of a song. I'm still writing and I still love that process, but it's nice that it's been broadened in a really great way. And then kind of once it's put through the filter of what we do to it, they all kind of end up.
Yeah.
It's not like someone's bringing like a hip hop
No,
song.
yeah, that's right. But I guess in the space that we write in, it's kind of things can start in the space a lot more now too, can't they? Like we actually start writing when we're all together, and we can go through 10 different ideas on one thing before we might spit out what it actually is, you know. So
Are
yeah,
you fairly agreeable? Do you have
We're
punch
very
ups
diplomatic.
occasionally?
I
definitely
think.
5 opinions.
That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
I reckon there's that thing you learn in a band that it's like if you're gonna have you're only allowed to like talk less. Just like listen more because you only have so much time where you get the time to like say your opinion. So and if you're constantly saying your opinion, everyone starts to get over it. So you get very good at just listening. You know, sometimes problem solving in our band is a very slow process.
But once
'Cause
you
everyone's
get
like,
there,
well, that's interesting because
Yeah.
the way I feel about it is, and then it's like becomes this very like, well, but we get there. I think it works. It's just
it's like a
bit
chat group,
painful.
isn't it? Sometimes, yeah.
WhatsApp
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
And finally, if you could form a super band, who would you want in it?
Oh wow, that's a big question. A super band. I think I just prefer to go and see the super band.
Yeah.
You know
It's a
what I
lot
mean?
Easier.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I need
But
to play in the super
If you
band.
had like Neil Young with like Kanye,
That'd be pretty awesome.
that'd be pretty great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We could add someone else in there.
Well, if Aretha
That's
Franklin was still
amazing.
around, she could come and sing. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be very good.
What band would you see what super bands would you see if you could see one?
I actually don't know.
What super bands?
Super band would Dave Swansea see?
What would I see? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, interestingly, when we get to play on festivals is the time that we really get to see other bands. It's just sort of amazing because when you're doing your own shows, you don't really get that opportunity. I kind of enjoy. I'm just like a young kid at a candy store when I'm actually able to see live music. I live for it. So there's nothing better for me than when we're on early at a festival. I can clock off. I can, just then start walking around just watching people play. I just absolutely love it. Yeah, I love it. I really like it.
Bit. Do you mosh?
I don't. I stay side of stage, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
VIP,
that's why I like it.
VIP, I get it. Well, thank you so much for coming in, guys. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with the tour. Make sure you check out Suck on Light. It's going to be a cracking album if you haven't heard it yet, because I have. But thank you so much, and really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.